This podcast is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Make sure you use our affiliate link down below. Well, welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
I'm Dylan.
And this week, we're going to talk about more spells that get rid of things in play.
Right, not bounce spells.
Not bounce spells. We're specifically going to avoid bounce spells because we just talked about that last week.
If you didn't see our last podcast or listen to it, go listen to that. We're talking about all the bounce spells, but this week we're not doing that.
Much less blue in the list, but still some blue here.
Yeah, most of blue's removal is bounce spells, but today we're talking about non-bounce spell removal.
Exactly.
Hard removal.
Specifically one-for-one hard removal spells in cEDH. Not wraths. I'm not talking about wraths. So if you want wraths, that's going to come in a different podcast, but we're not talking about wraths.
No Toxic Deluge, no Supreme Verdict.
No Fire Covenant.
Yeah.
Technically, that could be one-for-one, but it's never used as one-for-one.
It's a Plague Win. It's a 3-minute Plague Win.
So we're just going to compare these cards to each other and figure out which one is the best out of the list that we have. If we miss any, please make sure to flood the comments.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why I'm just realizing that I said Supreme Verdict before, but I think it's because Supreme Verdict, he's like, no, playing CDH, but you just cast it in the Spike Feeders game that I'm editing right now, so that's why that's on my mind.
That would be why. Yeah,
anyway.
If you haven't seen that video, go check that out, too. This is the most promotion we've ever done before.
Really? It was kind of natural, too. I feel like,
are
we being like professionals about this?
We might be really good at this all of a sudden.
My
Holy
God.
cow. I figured we'd just start off with a banger.
Yeah.
And that would be Dismember. Great removal spell,
Oh
right?
my god, this is my favorite. This is a pet card of mine.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a removal spell, so calling it a pet card is kind of funny, but this is like one of my favorite cards, truly. It's so easily castable. Your extra mana from Soul Rings and Grim Monoliths and Mana Vaults can help cast it. I know it seems like the 3 mana hit off of an Ad Nauseam and the 4 mana life that you have to pay if you're paying it for only 1 mana seems like a lot, but the flexibility is totally worth it. If it's worth it in Legacy and Vintage and Modern and all these other formats that it does see occasional play, I think it's worth it in cEDH too, especially because we have a ton more life. It kills everything. It just kills almost everything for 1 mana.
All the things that you care about, it kills. It kills like Winota. It kills the Eidolon of Rhetoric. Like these weird things that cards like Lightning Bolt and some other cards won't kill. We'll talk about all of them. Yeah. So it's a really good all-around removal spell that does cost you a lot of life sometimes, but you don't necessarily have to go that route.
Yeah, I would say the biggest issues and things that it doesn't kill, or at least that have come up for me, is like something like Consecrated Sphinx that can like very quickly take over the game if you don't have the perfect removal at the right time.
Really anything that Kinnan flips into.
Yeah, I get a lot of Kinnan. It's not great against Kinnan, although it kills Kinnan for a cheap mana.
Which you want, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's something that doesn't happen to that deck a lot, is that Kinnan dies early in the game, but Dismember lets you do that. It does not let you deal with, like, the
big giant threats, the Kolglas, and does it kill Kolga?
Kolga's
a 7/6.
7/6. I was
so it doesn't kill Kolga.
I was thinking of the Serpent, but
the
I'm
Serpent
pretty sure
that
that's
also
also
is a 6/6.
6/6.
So it doesn't kill either of those things because Dismember only -5.
Do you want to name some more cards that it doesn't
name
kill?
every card in cEDH that has 6 toughness or more. Ready, go.
Void Winnower.
I can't think of any. Let's
All
move
right,
on.
let's move past it. All right, so our next one is actually a 3-card conglomerate.
Oh.
So it's Rapid Hybridization, PONGIFY, and I also put Suspend in here. Although
different.
It's
That's
a little
bounce
different.
spell. Suspend is a bounce spell.
Oh, shit. So our next one is a 2-card conglomerate here. And we're only going to talk about PONGIFY and Rapid Hybridization.
Yeah, these are great. I think these cards should see a little bit more play, honestly.
They're pretty good. They do deal with anything at the cost of your opponent getting a 3/3 in play for it, but whatever you dealt with was a lot worse for you than a 3/3.
Yeah, here's the issue that I have with this card a lot of the time.
Tell me about it.
The decks that this is good against, that 3/3 kind of is relevant. If
all the
your
time.
only creature removal stops a combo, it's like a Kiki Jiki deck. It's a Winota deck. It's a Tymna deck. They can use that 3/3. They can like do stuff with it. It's not nothing to them. I would just look towards other things because the card can be used against you in ways that I think are not great.
In green, it can be used to sacrifice for like Eldritch Evolution, right?
It's
like,
an extra
or
creature
tap
for Gaia's Cradle.
right?
Like the decks that it's good against, this beast is actively great in there.
Yeah, every single color I feel like has some way to
Yeah.
deal with. This is part of the reason why I don't like Forbidden Orchard is because every single color has a way that it can benefit off of an extra creature. So like I like it when I'm in like mono blue, and
Sure.
maybe is it, but outside of
Yeah.
those, I think they're definitely lower on the list than Dismember.
I think so too. Yeah, I think if you're in white, this cannot touch your deck.
No.
Swords and Path are just so much better, and I don't
Yeah.
think you need a third option that only targets one creature.
No,
you want your
'cause-
removal to be a little bit more diverse.
Especially, and I know we don't want to talk about them, but like I also have to compare these like with the bounce spells.
Sure,
You're
because
in
the same
blue,
colors, same mana.
exactly, and you're going to be doing effectively the same thing, getting rid of the things so that you can win immediately. But there's a lot of tear.
Right, yeah. This is better. It is also, I was mentioning it disrupts a combo, but it also stops the stacks piece. And stacks pieces, obviously for the same reason, like are going to be able to use the 3/3. I mean, the 3/3 isn't the end of the world, but it's just, there are better options, I think. I put this card under Dismember.
Yeah, I definitely have it under Dismember.
I'd rather pay more of a cost so that you don't get any benefit.
Yeah, I actually think that it's also under our next card, which is Lightning Bolt.
Oh.
So I like Lightning Bolt because in the decks that I play Lightning Bolt in, I can loop it with Eternal Witness and like a meal, so
Yeah.
I can use it as an extra way to kill the table if like I can't for some other reason.
Honestly, same. It's kind of funny that like from a CDH mind point, I think Lightning Bolt is only good if you can loop it, which sounds kind of silly, but I think there's enough other removal spells that Lightning Bolt for me often gets cut. In 60 card, in 20 life, that 3 damage to the face can be relevant. That can make or break. In
Well, you know what?
CDH, that happens less.
In ad nauseum decks, it
Yeah.
can come up, and like you always point out when it could come up, but
Yeah.
you would still need to have Lightning Bolt in your hand and the red mana open if that is something that's realistic.
Yeah, and also like they just ad nauseum. There's more than a better chance they have a counterspell for your Lightning Bolt. Like that's
You know
not
what?
a good
That's
reason. Like
also
Dies to
true.
Doomblade, like it's counterspelled isn't a great reason against the card. Oftentimes there are just better options than Lightning Bolt, but if you can use it as a combo piece, if you can loop it with Eternal Witness, being able to draw your deck, I think it can be fine there.
And the reason why I don't have it above Dismember is because it is still 1 mana, but so is Dismember, and it can't get rid of as many things as Dismember can.
To me, Winota is the big one. I
That's
feel
really
like,
it.
4 toughness is a big threshold. I want the option to be able to kill a Winota with my creature removal. If I'm holding a Lightning Bolt and staring at a Winota, boy, does that feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to keep saying, oh, in the monocolor deck I would play this because
Right.
I feel like all
That's
of
true
these
for
cards,
all of these, yeah.
all these cards are going to see play in their monocolors because we're really just talking about the best ones here. So, any argument between Lightning Bolt being in between, ham sandwiched in between our cards so far?
Where do you put it?
Above PONGIFY and Hybridization, but below Dismember.
That sounds fine. That sounds great. It's hard to compare exactly, but I think if I'm in an Is It deck, I'm probably playing Lightning Bolt before I'm playing PONGIFY. Am I? I don't know, dude. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Not giving it a drawback, not giving them a 3/3, I think is enough of a reason.
I think so too. And you can loop it better. You can technically loop POGIFY too, but like I guess you could give yourself an army of 3/3s in Time Twister loops. Like
You have to destroy a creature to
destroying-
make a creature, though.
Yeah, but like if you have infinite mana and you're going through a Time Twister loop, you can destroy all of your creatures, keep looping them, and make infinite 3/3s.
How do
That's
you make
so much
infinite,
harder.
though? You have to be well. I guess if you destroy your commander and then recast your commander, after you make infinite mana,
Yeah,
you like cast your
it's-
commander or destroy your
It's a
commander.
stupid way to win the game.
Yeah, because you need to be able to get to your commander because otherwise the creature you'll just destroy 3/3 to make a 3/3.
It's silly. It's silly. Shut up, Cameron. All right, so the next card we're going to talk about then is Swords to Plowshares.
Love it.
It's at the top of the list.
Top of the list, immediately to the top. I think this card's the epitome of creature removal. It does the most for basically no drawback. Them gaining a couple life. Yes, maybe they'll rip an extra card off of ad nauseum or something. I don't think that's relevant enough. It's not going to happen often.
1 mana, get rid of anything.
Right.
No restrictions.
Exile too.
Exile, yeah.
Exile.
Can't use it with Underworld Breach in any kind of scenario then too. It's gone.
I like this better than POGIFY for, those two. Exile, I think, is just a little bit better than Destroyed. Not a ton in CDH. There aren't really that many, like, indestructible things, are there?
No, there's a couple reasons why I like to have certain things exiled, like playing against the Nala,
Breach,
and if you're able to exile the Thassa's Oracle and then like stop them, like, whoa, that's
the
huge.
Spellseeker, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, if you can exile their Spellseeker, then they can't continue
then
through
they
their
can't
line.
they can't keep going anymore. That's true. Yeah, it definitely does. The exile is relevant, and honestly, I think the life that could potentially be used for a card is much less than a guaranteed 3/3 that they'll get.
I think it only matters against like Bolas the Citadel and Necropotence, and otherwise I'm not really too concerned about it.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely have Swords up at the top here.
Yep. Tappy tap.
Now, in the same vein, Path to Exile is the next card, which I think is going to make this a little bit more interesting.
In the Tim Najeska list that I'm playing right now, that won one of the more recent Mox Masters tournaments, I'm playing Path to Exile and not Swords to Plowshare. I think the idea may be that there's just so few basics and the life gain is much different. I'm trying it out. I want to play the list just as is. I think it did well, so I want to play the list as it is, but that's probably a swap that I'm going to be making. I still think Swords is better.
That's interesting because most of my 3+ color decks don't have any basics in them.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what? This deck plays 1 plains and it only plays 23 lands. I wonder if it's used as like a weird way to turn a Memnite into a tapped land or something sometimes. I wonder if that was a thought process. If you're watching, designer of that deck, let me know why you play Path over Swords because I'm interested. But
yeah, that could do it. I mean, I'm surprised both of them are not in there too.
Yeah, you would think I just don't know if you need 2 spells that only remove a creature. I think as your second spot removal, you want it to be something that can kill other stuff too. I don't know. Do you play? How many like destroy just a creature thing do you have in your deck?
Destroy
often?
just a creature.
Just a creature.
Usually just Swords to Plowshares.
Usually just one.
Although in Timnum Malcolm right now, I have Swords and Dismember in there.
Yeah.
But I think that deck is trying to be a little bit more mid-rangey. And, I mean, the format hasn't slowed down in terms of how many creatures there are either. So
yeah, there are a lot.
I think having more creature removal can't be bad.
Maybe we should be playing more than just 1 or 2.
I mean, I hate when they're both in my hand and I don't need both of them.
Right,
But those scenarios are coming up significantly less now.
I think I want more cards like Dam and Toxic Deluge and things like that can 2-for-1, things like Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay and stuff like that. I want those more than just the creature removal. I want my creature removal to also do other shit.
That's the thing, right? Yeah, like if you're able to be more flexible, then that's a big plus. But if you can only deal with a creature, normally like I'll play Swords to Plowshares or whatever the next best thing is, and then for me, Path to Exile is like really low on the list because Swords exist. I don't really need Path at all. Then
I still think it's better than Pognify though.
Card quality wise, I also think it's better than Pognify, especially because of the colors that you're in.
Yeah,
but I think it's worse than Lightning Bolt at the same time.
Worse than Lightning Bolt. That's interesting. Yes. Yeah, I think it's worse than Lightning Bolt.
I'll play Lightning Bolt in some multicolor decks. Again, the ones that I'm able to loop it. And I won't really play Path to Exile, maybe outside of monocolor.
Yeah.
Maybe I would play it in Azorius, but
I mean, before I put this Tim Najeska deck together, I would say the same thing, but I'm playing Path right now, so I can't really say too much against it because it has been all right from when I've seen it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Our next package of cards, they're very similar, but I think they all might be placed differently here. They're all free black creature destruction spells.
Oh, sure.
Deadly Rollick is the first one we're going to talk about here.
This one's great. I think underrated. I think this card should see more play. Even the 4 pips is a lot.
The 4 pips, I think, is what keeps people off of it.
Yeah.
But it is free, right? Like, I don't know why in your Rograk deck you wouldn't want to play this.
Definitely. If you're playing Rog side, this is a great option, I think. You want all 3 of the, if you control your commander spells, they're all good. I think this one is awesome. You need to get rid of stacks pieces. You need to not lose the game sometimes. The 4 pips, yeah, like I said, that's a lot, but it's worth it.
Timna decks, you have a nice cheap commander where this card is going to really shine, be able to exile things for free. That's the other thing, right? This is another exiler.
Not just destroy, exile.
Exactly. So I really like Deadly Rollick. I mean, I think it's better than Lightning Bolt, but I'm not playing it in any decks right now, whereas I'm playing Dismember in a deck.
Yeah.
So maybe I have Deadly Rollick underneath Dismember.
I think it's underneath Dismember weirdly because 1 is more than 0.
But 4 is more than 3 and 1.
It's important also that your removal kills Drannith Magistrate. Like, that's also relevant. Like, you need to be able to get out from under any stacks pieces. And if the Magistrate is out, that means you can't cast your commander, which means this costs 4 mana, which is way too much.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah. So I definitely have it under it. Still think it's better than Bolt, but I think it's worse than Dismember.
I agree.
Yeah. And then Slaughter Pact is another free one. Technically, you have to pay for it later, but it's free when you need it.
This one also has a 0 mana cost, which is great for ad nauseum.
Yeah, right? And I feel like that's something that's very overlooked.
Yeah, the non-black thing. It doesn't get rid of Opposition Agent and Dauthi Voidwalker.
Which are 2 things that you might really want to hit in your ad nauseum deck.
If your combo revolves around those things, this card is not as good. But if you want to kill specifically other things, I think this card is considerable. A lot of times when you're casting it, you're never going to pay that upkeep cost, I feel like, because you're just going to win the game right away because you're getting rid of the last stacks piece.
I think if you're going for like a Witherbloom Apprentice combo after you ad nauseum, this is a great thing to be able to have, because it deals with all of the creatures like Archon of Emeria that you need to deal with, so you can cast your second spell.
Just lowering a little bit.
I'm always getting adjusted around in this shot in this show. And if you do make it to your next upkeep, you do need to pay for it as well.
Hold on, now I gotta check because I'm sorry, I fucked it up.
Oh no.
Sorry, you were saying.
Okay.
Does it look
Am
wrong?
I crooked? I look crooked. Yeah. Yeah. Even more. Yeah. Yeah. Like that. Something like that. Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm seasick all of a sudden. All right. So Slaughter Pact is definitely worse than Deadly Rollick, and I think it's worse enough than Lightning Bolt that I would put it underneath Lightning Bolt, but maybe above Path to Exile is what I'm thinking right now.
Above Lightning Bolt, below Path to Exile.
No, below Lightning Bolt, above Path to Exile.
I think it's worse than Path.
You think it's worse than Path?
I think it's I think it's worse than Path. Non-black is too much, I think.
That's
any
true.
creature. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll give that to you. So Slaughter Pact is going to go underneath Path to Exile. And then our last one of this 3-card category here is Snuff Out.
Snuff Out.
Snuff Out is also free if you control a swamp.
If you control a swamp.
And it costs 4 life to be able to snuff something out too.
4 pips. So about the same as Deadly Rollick. I think it's a good comparison to that card.
Yeah.
You have to take more life. Destroys, not exiles, but you don't need your commander. It's so hard to compare these two. Like, this can get rid of the Drannith Magistrates. You can cast your commander. This one, if you rip off of it ad nauseum and then have to pay another 4 life to kill something,
but
that's
you know
less
what?
good.
This is also non-black creature.
This is also non-black creature.
That is something else that I wanted to look up. So like that restriction is also very poopy.
Yeah.
But I think that keeps this card from seeing play in really any ad nauseum deck, because it does hit you for 4 and cost another 4 life to be able to hit something. So
I think this is worse than Slaughter Pact.
I think it's worse than Slaughter Pact too. Where do you have it versus Pongify and Rapid Hybridization?
Oh, I don't know. Worse, maybe. I think worse.
I would think that it's worse
like
too.
in a Dimir deck, I would think I would play Pongify first.
I would probably play,
unless it was like Yuriko. Like, Yuriko wants this.
Yuriko is really the only deck that actively wants this. If I'm in a Dimir non-Yuriko deck, I feel like I also have access to things like RESCULPT, which I didn't put on this list.
Maybe we should talk about.
But let's put that on the list right now.
Great. I would put RESCULPT above Snuff Out. Is that the one we're talking about?
And under Pongify?
I think it's 2 mana is so much more.
And it gives them a 4/4.
Yeah. I'm trying to compare like Assassin's Trophy to other things, but Assassin's Trophy can straight up kill anything. This can only hit artifacts and creatures.
Artifacts and creatures.
So it dodges, it doesn't hit enchantments.
I honestly think Pongify and Rapid Hybridization are just that much better.
I think they are too. 1 mana is better than 2 by a lot.
I think so too.
The addition of Artifact isn't quite worth enough. I could play both, maybe 1 Pongify, 1 RESCULPT. That makes sense.
I might rather do that instead of Pongify and Rapid Hybridization.
Yeah, I don't want to double up on the exact same card. I want some switching. So if I can Mystical Tutor for this, if I need it to be an artifact removal, that's good.
And if I'm not in black-green, having the flexibility to hit something else on board, I think is also important too. So our bottom up right now is Snuff Out, RESCULPT, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, and then Slaughter Pact is what we have.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
All right, so we have another conglomerate of cards, but this time I think they're pretty much all the same.
Okay.
They are 3 mana, get rid of anything but leave something behind spells.
Okay.
So this is Beast Within, Generous Gift, and Chaos Warp.
Chaos Warp, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go first. I feel like I've been talking a lot. How do you feel about these cards?
So I tend to not play these cards, even in the monocolor versions of decks. Like maybe green, if I'm playing mono green, I'd probably play Beast Within. But mono white, I'm typically not playing Generous Gift. And mono red, now with the addition of Wild Magic Surge, I'd much rather play that than Chaos Warp.
Yeah, I agree. I like Beast Within if you're looping it specifically. If you're doing something where you're destroying all of your opponent's lands and giving them beasts. If you're destroying everything on the battlefield and giving everyone beasts and you plan on cyclonic, I don't know, doing something else after that. There are ways to loop Beast Within to destroy everyone's stuff. I like it in that situation and in mono green, like you said. But besides that, I'm not going to Beast Within basically ever.
It's too slow, and it has the same downside as Pongify and Rapid Hybridization. But the upside of being able to hit any permanent is really just not worth the extra 2 mana.
I want that for 2. Assassin's Trophy can do that, so I want that effect for 2. With Wild Magic Surge can also do that. Right? basically anything.
It hits a non-land permanent.
Yeah.
Wild Magic Surge does. The problem with hitting any permanent versus non-land permanent is that very infrequently you're interested in hitting lands.
Like a Guy's Cradle or something.
Yeah, and there's certain cards like a Shire that can kind of mess this up, that, you know, turn your creatures into lands then at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
But for the most part, that doesn't come up. And that's like only if your opponent's in mono green.
Yeah.
And unless that's like a regular in your pod, I don't think that's something you really have to worry about.
I agree with you at Generous Gifts. I'm not normally playing that card. White has access to Swords to Plowshare and like good disenchant effects, so I don't think it needs both of them on one effect. And in like mono red, you're probably not playing Chaos Warp in Magda, right?
No, I am playing Wild Magic Surge in
Yeah.
Magda, though.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Because
think
the
it's
2
just
red
it's
doesn't mean
replaceable.
anything as opposed to the 3 mana. And especially in white, too, I think you are more concerned about creatures than you are about the instants and sorceries, because a lot of your tax effects like Thalia and Thorn of Amethyst don't hit the creatures because you're trying to play a lot of creatures, so you end up taxing the other cards, so you kind of want more things that will deal with your opponent's creatures.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think Beast Within is the only one that maybe is on this list. I don't think the other ones are.
So I'm putting them all at the bottom. Like, I'm putting them under Snuff
Just
Out.
put them. Yeah, I think you put them all under Snuff Out. A Beast Within at the like right under Snuff Out, maybe.
Yeah. All right. So the next 3 conglomerate of cards are all going to be in different places on the list, but they all only kill artifacts and enchantments.
Oh, disenchants. Okay.
It's still 1-for-1 hard removal spells that aren't wraths.
Yeah.
So I figured we'd include them on the list here too. The first one is Nature's Claim.
I used to love Nature's Claim. I play it less now.
Maybe we should start with the card that we play more now then.
Great.
So that we have a base so we know what the
Sure.
the
Yeah,
vessel's
we can.
gonna be at.
Is it Beseiju?
It is Beseiju.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just replaced Nature's Claim with Beseiju in all the decks that were playing Claim. If you're in low color green, I think it's fine to still play both, but the uncounterability is so fantastic.
It's
and
so
you almost
nice,
always
yeah.
have like your commander in play. It's just totally worth it, I think.
And in the higher color decks, I'm more concerned about needing to be able to deal with creatures than I am artifacts and enchantments, because my spells are able to counter a lot more artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah, that's true.
Than creatures.
Yeah, interesting. If you're in a blue deck, you don't need this effect quite as much. If you're in not a blue deck, you want it much more.
But Beseiju is going to see play in like every single deck
Every
that
green
has
deck.
green. Yeah,
I played in every green deck. I definitely played in every green deck right now. I think it's a staple. So this one kind of goes near the top. Probably, honestly, around Swords to Plowshares.
I'm going to put it in between Swords to Plowshares and Dismember and,
That sounds right.
have it in our number 2 slot.
I think that sounds right.
Because Dismember gets cut and this card doesn't.
This card doesn't.
I haven't cut Swords to Plowshares in a long time.
Yeah, I am. You know, we've talked
mean,
about it a couple
if
times.
you have
But
a
if it was up
hard
to
reason-
me, yeah, I think I should be swapping out for Swords soon.
So the Nature's Claim is going to be the next one that we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
then.
lower, but I don't know exactly where. It's definitely above some of the removal spells we talk about. What's our list look like right now?
Yeah, so I think it's better than Slaughter Pact.
Yep.
And then above Slaughter Pact is Path to Exile.
Yeah.
Which I think we're starting to get into the point where I could see an argument
It's around
between
here.
like
It's around
Path to
Path.
Exile or like Lightning Bolt.
I would say it's worse than Lightning Bolt, but basically in that ballpark of Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Nature's Claim.
Okay.
The 4 life you give him is nothing, kills everything for just
Yeah.
1 mana. Really good.
Yeah, and I think that there's more decks that are still leaning on Nature's Claim in addition to Beseiju than you are leaning with Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile.
I agree. Yeah, I think that, it's justifiable to play 2 artifact and enchantment removal spells. Less justifiable to take 2 only creature removal spells.
Yeah.
But in this world, maybe there's a lot of Winnows around. Maybe that's just like an outdated
Yeah.
opinion. Maybe you should be playing 2 guaranteed only creature removals.
You know, if we did this podcast next week, I might put Path to Exile above Nature's Claim.
Okay.
But we happen to be doing it this week where I'm okay putting Nature's Claim above Path to Exile. So,
What's the difference this week and next?
I don't know, I might just have different thoughts about it.
sure,
I
I
might
understand.
want to
Got
be
it.
able to deal with Winota or
Okay.
like Tivit much
yeah.
more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know I should just play Nature's Claim if I want to be able to deal with Tivit. You deal
That would
with
be
the
good.
Time Sieve that way.
Yep, that would be good.
The third green card that deals with artifacts and enchantments is Force of Vigor. And I'm including this because if you cast it for free, you're dealing with 2 cards for 2 cards. So it's
1 for 1.
2 for 2, 1 for 1.
2 fraction 2 is the same as 1 fraction 1.
Yep, I learned that in school.
Well, I know that's true.
That's
so, yeah.
definitely not a fallacy.
Yeah, I think it's I love this card a lot. You can't play it in Oz decks quite as much, but when I was playing Blood Pod, this card is awesome.
Yeah, I do like this card in like the more controlling decks, the Staxier decks. I do like this in, especially if you're heavier into green. If you are like slightly dipping your toe into green, I do not like this card as much. I'd much rather play Nature's Claim in that case. But in like the heavier green decks, I'd much rather go for a potential 2-for-1.
Yeah, especially if you're playing like 6+ 1-mana mana dorks. Like this is great. Like on turn 4 or 5, you're like, I don't want to play this fucking mana dork anymore because it doesn't do anything right now. Pitch it to this. It's awesome.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and I love this card specifically in situations where like I need to get rid of the stacks piece and the Rhystic Study. Like I need to get rid of maybe I just want to get rid of the Mana Crypt and the Mystic Remore or something like that. Like doing this early just as like a tempo play, sacrifice your cards which you don't really want to get rid of their investments can be like a great move a lot of the time.
Now, I didn't expect this going into this podcast, but I think I might actually like this card more than Nature's Claim now.
I think I do too.
And I think it's because this card still, I think, has more homes than Nature's Claim because Boseiju, essentially costing 1 mana with your commander out, has basically completely replaced Nature's Claim.
Yeah.
I don't know where I have Force of Vigor with Lightning Bolt right now, but I definitely like Force of Vigor better than Nature's Claim.
I think I like Lightning Bolt maybe a little bit better than Force of Vigor. They're getting hard to compare, I think, exactly.
It is.
Lightning Bolt can
tough
win
to
you the
compare.
game, though.
That's the
This
thing.
one can't.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt can kill players. This can't. All right, I'm into that. So Lightning Bolt is better than Force of Vigor, but Force of Vigor is better than Nature's Claim,
Yes.
which is better than Path to Exile.
Agreed.
Here's one.
Yep.
Vanishing Verse.
Bad. I don't like it.
You're all
Yeah, I
Vanishing
do not
Verse?
like Vanishing Verse.
I feel like Vanishing Verse always doesn't hit what I want it to hit.
It's too specific, and for 2 mana, that's no good for me. For
Yeah.
2 mana, it's got to hit everything.
It's got to hit everything, right? Like I feel like it's trying to be the Assassin's Trophy of a Mardu deck.
Yeah.
But when you want it to hit a Notion Thief, it can't hit Notion Thief.
Yeah, that feels so bad. When your removal spell doesn't hit what you want to remove, you got to get that shit out of there.
You can you deal with artifacts?
If for the monocolored, I don't know. Does it say monocolor or say one color?
Let me take a look at this. So it says with a exile target monocolored permanent. So if something's no colors,
That's not a
I'm
monocolor.
assuming that you can't.
Because mono means 1 or sick.
Mono means 1 or sick. Let's.
I get no reaction.
It does
out of him.
mean sick. It's
You just
exactly
agree.
what
You're
it
like,
is.
yeah, mono does mean sick.
Mono does mean sick. Hey, I have mono.
Wait, what?
Wait, sick as in cool?
No, like ill.
Man, that's mono. I'm
That's
trying to find the button on Scryfall that takes me to the thing with the Oracle text.
Oh, okay.
Like the real Oracle text. It tells me like
it should
if I
just
can
say
get
it
rid
right
of-
next to the card if you look on it.
Oracle text is not the words that I'm looking for.
Oh, what words are you looking for?
Whatever, like the annotations, the added things that
If you scroll down, it should just be at the bottom, or no one said anything about it.
no one said anything about it.
Yeah.
What's the name of Wizards website? The Gatherer?
Wizards.com.
All of the questions I'm asking, you're answering totally correctly,
Really?
but they're just not the answers that I'm looking for.
Okay.
Oh my god! And I just looked it up, and there's fucking nothing.
There's
down
nothing
here
on
where
it.
I
don't think it gets rid of artifacts. Mono means 1. Colorless artifacts are colorless without a color. It would say with 1 or less colors.
It would say with 1 or less colors. Yeah. So I don't think this would be able to get rid of artifacts. So like, if you
Sucks.
play against a lot of Kinnan, which I don't know, I know 2 people that do.
You can't kill the Kinnan or the Basalt Monolith.
So you're kind of fucked. So I have Vanishing Verse pretty low on my list too.
Right on the bottom.
I have it above Beast Within and Generous Gift and all that jazz, but
Beast Within-
underneath Snuff Out.
I think it's under Beast Within.
You think it's
honestly.
under Beast Within?
Beast Within, I see a reason for. I do not see a reason for this one.
All right.
I think it was good to try out while it was new for the past little while. I don't like it.
All right, I'll give it to you. We'll put it in the trash column.
Right in the trash.
We'll hit empty trash, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so we have another set of a couple different spells. This is technically 2 different categories of 2 spells that do the same thing.
Love it. That's like all of these so far.
Yeah, really. I mean, there's a lot of similar spells.
Yeah.
Because we have a very specific category that we're
Singleton
talking about.
magic is just going to lead to that. You want to look for the best version of a thing and then things that are like it. So that's just going to happen.
Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast.
I like these cards, and these are also cards that I'm not playing in that Timna Jessica deck that I feel like maybe I should be, but I haven't really missed them, to be honest. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have put these cards real close to the top. Lately, for some reason, I put them a little lower.
Well, because there's other colors that are good in cEDH now besides blue.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
when like there's other decks that you see like Winota and Rocco at even competitive tables where, these cards are just going to be absolutely dead.
Yeah.
You have to time this card right, too, a lot of the times.
And having a dead card is so bad compared to having like a card that can be like good. Like the difference is so severe. Having a card that doesn't do anything, if you sit down at a pot and there's no blue, that is it's really bad. It's like you've mulliganed the card if you ever draw it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's helpful at all. And there's just so many good cards, like you said. Like all the colors have good spells now. You don't have to rely on this as much.
And some of the good spells that these other colors are getting are other interactive pieces too. So when you only play the red blast to be able to deal with the blue player's interaction, like you can't deal with like a Veil of Summer then, or you can't deal with someone's Path to Exile that's going to exile your Magda then, right? So like you're kind of put in these scenarios where you end up wishing it was something completely different.
Yeah, you're limited when you have to counter things because you're not sure if something else will come up, because then you have to like make like kind of a wrong play. Like, I don't really want to counter this, but I don't think anything's going to come up and I want to use my mana. That's not always the best spot to be in, especially in cEDH when you can end up tipping the game in a direction that it didn't need to be tipped just yet.
Yeah.
In 1v1, that's much different. You want to use your mana up. You want to be efficient with all your cards. In cEDH, it's not really like that as much. You want to time your shit. You want to use it at just the right moment, only when you want to and only when you have to. And I think this kind of fails that test sometimes.
You don't want it to be destroying a Mystic Remora or a Heuristic Study, but it can do those things.
It can
too.
do those things if you're playing Food Chain. If you have to win through a combo that has to cast a bunch of spells, I think this is much better. I think that's also like super important, is like if your combo involves you casting a bunch of spells, I like this card a lot more.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty negative about this card so far, but there are a ton of upsides about
great,
both of these. Yeah, like being able to counter things to help you encounter wars, being able to stop a Thassa's Oracle that's on the stack as well. Like this card gets you around that. Nature's Claim and Lightning Bolt do not do that so easily.
Yep.
So I think for that reason, I have these. I have the Red Blast and Pyroblast above Lightning Bolt, but underneath Deadly Rollick.
I think they're above. I think they're above Deadly Rollick. I think maybe they see play in more decks. Probably. We could check that information.
If we're dealing with how much they see play, then they're above Dismember, underneath Beseiju. Then, but I don't think we're dealing with like just see play.
We're not just evaluating that, but that's a part of it. I think that's part of the equation.
What I like as hard removal spells,
Yeah.
I like the flexibility of being able to deal with any creature of any color versus the ability to deal with a color hosing spell that can counter things.
Yes, I agree. I think I like Dismember over the Blasts, but what's right below Dismember?
Deadly Rollick.
Yeah, I think this is better than Deadly Rollick.
You think this is better than Deadly Rollick?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to split the difference. Sure. I'm going to put Pyroblast above Deadly Rollick, but I'm going to put Red Elemental Blast below Deadly
They
Rollick.
do a couple different things. One of them can count towards your Storm if you are, even if you don't have a blue permanent. I think Pyroblast.
It should actually be the other way around, because I like the ability to not have something get deflecting swatted to.
And Red Blast needs a blue target, right? So if you have a deflecting swat and there's no other blue targets, you can't deflecting swat Red Blast away. I think, and then Pyroblast is the one that can add an extra Storm for free because you can cast it even if there's no blue cards. You can just cast it on something and it'll work.
Well, the other thing, so the thing about Pyroblast is that they can't change what the ability is. Is that what it is?
I think
In one of them,
we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. No, they can't change the ability. No, it has to still counter something.
they're the same thing now. I thought that one of them, if you like gain control of the spell, you could change it from, because of the way that it was worded, you could change it from countering something to destroying a permanent. But now that I'm looking at the Oracle text, I don't think that's the case, because now it's a choose one for both of them.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think if you are gaining control of a spell, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Someone in the comments let us know if there's a difference between these cards. Can one of them redirect it as a counterspell to a creature? I don't think you can. I think it has to stay the same mode, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not super confident.
I'm pretty sure it has to stay the same mode because you choose it before you cast it.
Yeah.
But I thought one of them had a wording where, because it said or, you could like swat it to something else, and like as long as the thing was blue.
Either way,
I don't know.
this shit's not going to come up very often.
No, I'm
think.
sure that I'm getting this wrong. We spent so much time talking about that, and I'm just going to end up putting both of those cards above Deadly Rollick and underneath Dismember anyway.
Love it.
All right, great. Let's move fucking past this and talk about some even worse cards.
Moving on.
Hydro Blast and Red Elemental Blast.
Bottom. Don't even talk to me about these fucking cards.
They do the same thing technically, but they're also so much worse because red
kill
cards
5 things.
pop up
They destroy
so
5 things.
less frequently. Yeah.
5 good things, but 5 things. There's like nothing. What do they kill? Underworld Breach, Dockside Distortionist,
Winota.
You don't want.
I
mean,
hate that Dockside Extortionist is on that list. I want a counterspell that can deal with Dockside or whatever they're going to do outside of Dockside. And if I'm cutting something to play Red Blast or Blue Blast,
Yeah.
go suck an egg, Blue Blast.
Yeah, if you're cutting like a counterspell that you would just be able to use on the thing that they cast with the Dockside Treasures, I think that's just better a lot of the times.
So we're going to move to the Golgari section of the podcast here. We're going to start with Assassin's Trophy.
I love Assassin's Trophy.
I love Assassin's Trophy. Again, talk about, decks not playing basics, having a reason to play this.
This is the standard to me. This is what 2-mana removal spells are compared to. Assassin's Trophy is the creme de la creme. I think a lot of people cut it for a while because like Abrupt Decay is maybe better. The uncounterable is necessary, and having 2-mana removal spells is I don't know if I agree with that line of thinking. I think both are, if you're in Golgari, I think you want both, even up to like 4 and even almost 5 colors sometimes. Just Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay, as we'll talk about, just they hit everything. Assassin's Trophy hits everything.
Yeah, and there's really no trading that for anything. Like the ability to hit a land, any single creature. I mean, we could talk about every single permanent type again. Like it's the only thing that's going to hit like every single battle too, right? Like
right, yeah. I mean, Beast Within it's Beast Within essentially with a different negative effect, which is a better negative effect. Them having a basic land, I would rather them have a basic land than a 3/3, which sounds kind of weird, but they can use the 3/3 much more efficiently. They can, 100%. Is that right? I don't know if that's right, honestly.
Well, 100% of the time they will get a 3/3 versus
a lot
some
of times
percent of the time they don't get the basic
that's
land.
That's very true.
So like, yeah, you can utilize a basic land quite a bit too, but again, black has things like Diabolic Intent. Blue has things like Polymorph, and green has things like Cradle, and red has things like other things that deal really well with creatures and Winota, right?
You're definitely right.
I'm gonna put Assassin's Trophy like higher than Dismember on this list.
I think so too. It makes me sad to say Dismember is one of my favorite cards of all time, but I think Assassin's Trophy is it's a more powerful card. The upside is so much higher, the downside is so much lower. Assassin's Trophy is it's the gold standard, I think.
So what about between Beseiju Who Endures and Assassin's Trophy? So if you need a hint,
Trophy's better.
I think Trophy's better too.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But the other one can be 1 mana versus 2, which is a world difference,
but
and
it can't,
essentially uncounterable.
But it can't deal with, creatures. Yeah, exactly. So
that's a big difference. We're in a creature world right now. We need to be able to kill creatures.
In every single green-black deck, I'm playing both. Like I'm still not leaving home with either of them.
I'm playing all 3 of these cards in any deck that can play them, I'm pretty sure. Like Assassin's Trophy, Beseiju, and I'm thinking Abrupt Decay. We haven't gotten to there yet, but both those cards. That's Trophy,
yeah.
Beseiju, I'm playing them all.
But like if my problem is Drenith Magistrate, Beseiju can't deal with that, and in that case, Beseiju is still 2 mana anyway.
And that can lose you the game. If you can't cast your commander because of a turn 2, turn 1 Drenith Magistrate, you're dead. A lot of decks are just going to scoop to that. They're going to fold.
So where are we at between Assassin's Trophy and Swords to Plowshares now?
Weirdly close, but I think Swords gets it.
Swords being so they both can sometimes have no downside.
Yep.
I think Swords' downside comes up less frequently than the downside of Assassin's Trophy.
That is, I think that's true. I would rather them gain life than get a land in play.
Even if they have a small chance of not having a land, I still think that basic lands are still pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not playing at a tournament. I think the more off meta you get, the more basics you're going to see.
Definitely. I think this card is as good as Swords to Plowshare. If I'm giving you an honest option, I think it's exactly as good.
It's
in any
the white
deck,
Assassin's Trophy.
Any deck that can play either of these cards will play them every time. That's not true though. Assassin's Trophy, some people don't play Trophy because they just play Abrupt Decay. So Swords is better.
But they could just be wrong.
They could be wrong,
and that's
some people could be wrong.
That's what I think. Yeah. I think if you're not playing both, maybe you're just wrong, and you should be playing both.
Yeah, maybe. All right, back to my original opinion. I think they're tied, but if we have to put them, I'll put it under Swords.
All right, I think that's kind of like where my intuition is going to go.
All right, it's 2.
So where are we at with Abrupt Decay then?
Right
underneath Assassin's Trophy.
Assassin's Trophy. Not the uncounterable is huge. Don't get me wrong. What does it not kill that Assassin's Trophy can? Land.
Winota, lands, and that's
Tivit, although the ward, but still Tivit.
And that's like any other big commander, I guess, but
Yeah.
like that's pretty much it.
Commander hitters.
Yeah, they're big
Although
commander
Assassin's
hitters.
Trophy ain't great for hitting commanders because it gives them half of the mana they need to recast it again. Still a huge tempo play though.
Certain decks are gonna have like Archmage Emeritus or Teferi, the 4 mana,
Yeah.
the other 4 mana Teferi. So like, there's gonna be some other value pieces, like maybe Teamer Sabretooth if they're tapped out
Birthing
too.
Pod.
Emil, right? So
Yeah.
like, there's a 4 drops
There's
are
cards.
pretty common. Yeah, the uncounterability is great, but not everything.
Not as relevant.
Not as relevant because a lot of times there's only one player that wants to counter the Assassin's Trophy.
I think Abrupt Decay is better at killing Underworld Breach specifically because a lot of times when you're casting the Breach, you just ad nauseum, you have a bunch of cards in your hand. I think it's incredible there. But besides that specific situation, I like Ass Trophy in every other situation. So for that reason, I think Assassin's Trophy is better than Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, I definitely think Assassin's Trophy is better than Abrupt Decay. Deflecting Swat's played all the time, and that counters
yeah.
Abrupt Decay. You'd be surprised how
That's
many things
true.
counter Abrupt Decay. Veil
Yeah.
of Summer counters Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, there are things.
Speaking of 2 mana spells that get rid of a couple different things, our next one is Abrade.
Ooh, I love Abrade. I think it's much lower on this list than I want it to be.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely, I don't know. Is it worse? We have Lightning Bolt pretty high on this list.
I play Lightning Bolt in some 4-color decks. I would never play Abrade in a 4-color deck.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I wouldn't play Abrade in a 4-color deck, but it would see play in a lot of 2-color decks.
2 and 3-color decks, Abrade can be gravy. It can be awesome. It can help your deck a lot.
All right, so it's worse than Lightning Bolt. I guess that's just a given. It's worse than Lightning Bolt. What about like Force of Vigor and Nature's Claim?
It's around that power level, I
That's
think.
kind of what I'm thinking, because
Yeah.
it does, getting rid of artifacts is good, but getting rid of most creatures is better than getting rid of enchantments.
Yep, I agree. But 2 mana is so much more than 1 and 0. I think it's probably worse than Force of Vigor, but maybe better than Nature's Claim.
If I'm playing a Jund deck, I'm playing Force of Vigor or Nature's Claim ahead of Abrade. Like Jund ad nauseum decks, I'd much rather play Nature's Claim.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put.
Yeah, it's worse than Nature's Claim.
So then Abrade versus Path to Exile. I think Abrade is better than Path to Exile because I will play Abrade in some 3-color decks.
yeah, and the
if I'm
versatility is helpful. It's close though,
It's close.
but I agree with you. It's better than Path.
Great, then we'll put that there. I have another category here. We only have 4 more that we're gonna go through.
Yep, give it to me.
Mono green fight spells.
4 more categories or 4 more cards?
4 more cards, but this
Okay.
one card is a big category.
Sorry, yeah, what was it again?
Mono green fight spells.
Mono green fight spells. Okay.
Yeah.
This is weird. These okay, yeah, give it to me.
I'm gonna put these over Hydroblast and
Yeah.
Blue Elemental Blast,
For spite.
actually. But yes, well, no, not
On
even
merit,
that, because like
principle.
at least there's a reason for mono green decks to play these fight spells.
Yeah.
There's no reason for any deck to play Hydroblast.
I agree with you. What are the fight spells?
I didn't write any of them down because I didn't know what any of their names were.
That's awesome. We should find one of the names.
Crash Through is one of them. That's a
Okay.
2-mana fight spell.
Does he play?
In like Yisan, like if you, or Sylvala, like when you
Sure.
have these big green idiots that are very easy for you to get down, they basically are like your green swords to plowshares, where
Yeah.
for no downside, you can get rid of any creature in play.
Yeah,
you just
and a lot
have
of
to have
them-
a green creature or a good creature in play.
Which is the one that punches? There's one that's for I think 2 mana that just assigns damage from your one creature to their creature. It doesn't take damage back.
There's a couple of them that
Whichever
do
that one is, find it
Yeah.
on screen, put it here maybe.
Yeah, there's
that
a-
card I think is great. Much
There's
better
a-
than the fight ones.
There's a couple of 2-mana instant bites. That's
Yeah,
what they're called.
Bite.
Not
I call them
fights.
punches.
They're-
But bite makes sense too.
Because I think you're thinking of the Ferocious Punch from the Khans of Tarkir set.
Maybe did it do that?
But
Did
it comes. I don't know if
I
Ferocious
think
Bite
I
does
just
that.
heard someone call that punching, but I could be wrong. I don't
The
know.
one that I always think of is the one that was from Shadows over Innistrad, Ferocious Bite.
Yeah.
So I've kind
Okay.
of heard it referred to as bites
that
a little
sounds
bit more.
that sounds right too.
Yeah, but
It
it's
rhymes. So
basic-
that's better. It's better. Let's
yeah.
go with bite.
All right, we're gonna go with that. But yeah, so I will still put them below Vanishing Verse because I think
Is that true? Vanishing Verse I think should never see play also, and the fight ones are good in mono green decks.
Vanishing Verse. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
better
we'll
than
put
Verse.
these, and then we'll put them below. Are they still below the 3-mana get rid of anything but leave something behind spells?
I think so.
Okay. All right, great. All right. Well, I'm glad we settled this. Blue Elemental Blast and Hydroblast, Vanishing Verse, Mono Green, bite spells.
Yep, you got it.
Great. Wild Magic Surge. We talked about this a little bit ago, but we
Yeah.
didn't actually officially come down on it somewhere here.
Honestly, most of the times that I've seen this card being cast, it bit him in the ass. It gave him a worse thing. That's not always going to happen. That's a small sample size.
So
I think the
I've
card's
cast
good,
this.
but
I've cast this more recently because I've been playing a mono red deck more
Yeah.
recently, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where like you have to be targeting the worst thing in their deck to basically guarantee that you're not going to come out in a poopier situation.
You target the worst thing in their deck. What do you mean?
Because if you target the worst thing in their deck, then it dies, and then they cascade into something worse. Into something worse for them.
Yeah.
You target the thing that's worst for you. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. I got like, no, you want to kill the best thing. Kill the thing that's going to win them the game or stop you from winning the game.
That's the worst thing in play for you.
Yeah.
So that you flip into the worst thing for them.
Right. Like if you get rid of an opposition agent and they put in Sylvan Library or something, or I don't know, a different stacks piece. Maybe,
literally anything that's not an opposition agent, so you can tutor.
Yeah, like what if they, you're playing Magda, you get rid of the Apo, they put in Drannith Magistrate. Okay, well you don't really care about that because you're searching, you're not casting from exile, so like that Drannith Magistrate is fine,
right?
And it's okay. And even in some situations, if you whiff, the Drannith could stop the next person, so you could put in something to play. That's not really something to play around, but I think it gets rid of the thing that you need for just 2 red. That's Assassin's Trophy level removal. So I think it's better than I think it is.
So I think it's better than any of the 3 mana versions. Like
definitely way better.
Chaos Warp is in the 3 mana.
Way
Get rid
better.
of anything that but leave something behind category here. But I think it's worse than Snuff Out because Snuff Out just kills the thing outright. And
Where's Resculpt?
Resculpt is above Snuff Out.
I think it's like better than Resculpt.
You think it's better than Resculpt?
I think it's better than Resculpt. I think it's better than Resculpt.
See, I think it's worse than... It's better than Resculpt in the fact that it can hit any non-land permanent. But
enchantments.
It's worse because you give them something from their deck, and they want the cards in their deck.
They don't want a 4/4.
They don't want a 4/4. Sometimes the card that you give them is going to make them treasures equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments that are in play.
Yeah.
Resculpt is just going to give them a dumb 4/4 all the time.
Okay, it's worse than Resculpt. I agree with you, I submit. But I think it's better than Snuff Out.
You think it's better than Snuff Out?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that.
Snuff Out is too limited in what it hits.
Oh, that's true. Non-black.
Non-black creature. This hits any permanent.
Yeah. This is the... our next card is going to be the only creature spell that we talk about.
Ravenous Chupacabra.
No.
I wish.
No, it's SKYCLAVE Apparition.
Oh, sure. This card's great.
Caught me off guard at first. I was
definitely.
not super high on this card originally, but then I realized, and after playing it, that not giving them the thing back when SKYCLAVE dies does matter as much as people said that it does.
Yeah, it exiles the thing forever. When the SKYCLAVE dies, they just get a spirit back, which, like, sucks, as we've talked about. Giving them a creature sucks, but it's not giving them the creature that they wanted. It's giving them whatever. It doesn't matter. They don't want it.
And they have to deal with SKYCLAVE in order to get that creature. So it's not like these other ones we've talked about where no matter what, they're getting the thing. If you can win the game without needing to give them the creature, then you can potentially also save yourself the headache of giving your opponent some extra value too.
Yeah, I like this one. I mean, 3 mana is a little bit much for this effect, but it being on a creature, it being on a body that triggers Winota, it has a lot of relevant things. I mean, it's potable. It being a creature aspect of it for 3 mana, there's nothing else at that rate. No 3 mana creature exiles another, what is it, exile?
I think it's a non-land
it's 4 or
permanent
less.
4 CMC or less.
Yeah, nothing. It has the best rate on a creature body, I think. So for that reason, it's great.
Yeah, most definitely. And even outside of Winota, like any Tymna stack is going to play this card. Like it can beat in and get you some cards in that case. So for that reason, I think it's better than Nature's Claim, Force of Vigor, Lightning Bolt.
I don't know about Lightning Bolt. I think it's better than Nature's Claim and Force of Vigor, though. I don't know if I'm just holding on to Lightning Bolt due to nostalgia, or if I think the argument that Lightning Bolt will see play in some 4-color decks, but that's just...
This is going to kill much more, and it doesn't even... In the decks that play SKYCLAVE don't care that it costs 3 mana as much as the decks that play Lightning Bolt need to care that Lightning Bolt costs 1 mana.
I agree. Okay, so it's better than Lightning Bolt? That feels strange, but okay.
I think it does feel strange too. What about Deadly Rollick versus SKYCLAVE Apparition?
Deadly Rollick is...
free sometimes. I think I'm going to put SKYCLAVE below Deadly Rollick.
I think so too. Honestly, Deadly Rollick to me only sees play in Rogsai. This card really only sees play in Winota. It sees play in some other stacks decks.
But it could be argued that it should be seen play in more decks.
That could be argued for both of these things, maybe.
That's true. I guess you don't really play Deadly Rollick in Tymna because you do have access to Swords to Plowshares.
And if
that's
the big issue.
If you're also playing Thrasios and you have access to Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy, so it does really kind of get shoved down then. That doesn't make it bad, I guess.
It's so hard. Honestly, it's so hard. Who fucking cares?
This is tough.
I think it's better than Deadly Rollick.
All right.
It hits anything, right? Anything 4 CMC or less, not just creature. I think that is relevant enough to make it higher.
That's true.
Do we know that that's true? I feel like I should know that.
I think that's a good point, and I'll concede to that. What about, is it above or below the Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast?
Above.
Above them?
I think above, yeah.
Okay. What about Dismember?
It is below Dismember?
It's below Dismember?
I don't know, dude.
Creature-wise, Dismember gets rid of everything that this would too, but this also gets rid of other things too.
Yeah.
They're both technically 3 mana.
I'm going to let my bias show I like Dismember more, but that could be wrong. I think Dismember is cuttable a lot more than this card is cuttable in the decks that this is good in, though. So I could see if you wanted to put it above it. I could understand that. Like in the decks that want this card, SKYCLAVE Apparition, they're not going to cut it basically ever. In the decks that want Dismember, they'll cut it sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to put it above Dismember. I think it looks really weird to me right now.
Yeah.
But I think the flexibility of being able to hit any permanent type and...
Do we know that? Can we confirm that? I'm not sure for some reason. It's any permanent CMC 4 or less, right? Non-land permanent?
Exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent.
Okay, the non-token. Before CMC 4
That
or less.
doesn't come
Okay.
up. When does the non-token come up?
That never comes up.
You're gonna SKYCLAVE Apparition, the Pogify token you gave them?
Yeah, I want to get rid of the Najeela token, not the Najeela.
Not the Najeela. Yeah.
Okay.
What the fuck?
So yeah, this being able to hit anything is super huge then.
All right, we have one more card. We've been talking for a while.
Let's wrap this shit up. What
We
do you
have
got?
one more card, and it's going to be pretty bad. It's Feed the Swarm.
Swarm.
Feed the Swarm.
Feed the Swarm. Oh,
Yeah.
it destroys an enchantment. A black
Yeah.
destroys an enchantment. Very unique for,
Or a
for
creature,
black to have. Yeah.
But you do also lose life equal to the permanent's mana value.
I love this in my casual Villas deck.
But realistically, I think it's going to go pretty low.
Pretty low. Yeah, I don't know. Read me from the bottom. What do we got?
Hydroblast and Blue Elemental
Better.
Blast. Vanishing Verse.
Better.
Green Fight Bite spells.
Better.
3 mana, get rid of anything but leave something behind spells.
Better?
Yeah, I think so too. Snuff out.
Stop.
I think so too. Yeah, because Snuff Out is free and gets rid of half of the things that this gets rid of.
In the mono black decks, this hits important things, but 2 mana is so much unfathomably more than free. It's hard to compare them. So yeah, I think Snuff Out's better.
And if you're gonna lose life anyway, you might as well snuff something out.
Might as well.
Yeah.
All right, what's our list from 10 to 1? You got it? Or do you want to just go from the bottom?
No, we're gonna. This is officially top 10 now.
Top 10 removal spells that are not bound spells or wraths in CEDH. Let's hear them.
Top 10 1-for-1 hard removal spells in CEDH. Not wraths. Our number 10 is Force of Vigor. Our number 9 is Lightning Bolt. Our number 8 is Deadly Rollick. Our number 7 is both Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast. Number 6 is Dismember. Number 5 is SKYCLAVE Apparition. Number 4 is Beseiju Who Endures. Number 3 is Abrupt Decay. Number 2 is Assassin's Trophy, and then number 1 is Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of these things. I think some people might not. This is going to be different from a lot of people's lists. I would love to hear what other people's are.
My favorite part about our top 10s is at the very end of all of them, we say, yeah, no, this is, you can't argue with this list. This is stone cold fact.
We've done an internal review, and we've decided that, yeah, it's all good.
This is it. So, Magic Community, this is
it, the definitive best removal spells in CEDH.
Yeah,
no,
hands
but
down.
I would be so interested in seeing what other people would rank as their top 10 removal spells in CEDH, because it's definitely going to be way different than ours, but I stand by ours. I think I like ours.
Put your top 10 in the comments below here. I want to see what it is.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Luke Cook, Young Mox, AJ Albo Sabi, Demon of Rosgrees, Kawaja A. Hamid, and Baby G-Bus.
Also, if you'd like to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at our merch store, playtowinmtg.com.
We still have Gay to Win merch available on our Bonfire store, so make sure you go check that out too.
Proceeds go to the Trevor Project.
And if you want to support our sponsors, the best sponsor in the universe, Dragon Shield, is where you can get all of the greatest Magic the Gathering accessories that you need. So go check out our affiliate link down below.
If you want more content, you can follow us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thank you so much for watching or listening.
See you next time.
Lutry's dad.
Stashes.
Mitchell Shepard.
Justin.
Man Solo.
Nikola Marikovic.
Steven Shalikty.
Big TP at 15.
Looking at you, that green guy.
Isaiah Berliski.
Hey there, Pedro.
C.
Jacob Dapp.
Michael Blue.
Yon Wildfang.
Thomas Bueno.
Oh, it's you, Swampy McGee.
Lauren Connell.
Oh, David Nelson. Didn't see you there.
Dromax.
Good. See it going. Cool. See it going. Good.
Great.
I see it going. I see it going. Good. Great. I see it going. Good. Great. I see it going.
All right, I'm ready.